welcome everyone. Thank you for joining us today in this beautiful session it's all about living from the heart. How important it is for all of us today to live from the heart, especially for men. So the four of us are here to share our views. We will discuss a bit about the challenges that all of us men experience these days in this society, and and what it means for us, for all of us here in this room, what it means for us to live from the heart. And in that space as well, we will share our own experience about our own challenges that we experience about, living from the heart. We will also share some techniques and that we use in our own lives to live life from the heart. So it's going to be a beautiful day, a beautiful session for us to share, to learn, and for you as well, to ask questions, to share as well your own experience. So there will be time for questions. There will be time for you to share as well if you want to share. So please, if you are watching right now on Facebook, put your comments on the Facebook feed because we are reading the comments. If you are on the Zoom meeting as well, you can use the chat to ask us questions or to comment on things that we are sharing. But please, let's keep it interactive. This session is for all of you out there watching. So I'll say this again for the people who just joined us on the Zoom meeting. We are broadcasting live, on Facebook across multiple pages as well. So welcome everyone, and yes, before we start, I'm gonna leave this with Damian, who will do a quick meditation to put that into the heart, and then we can introduce ourselves and share a bit more about the day.
Thank you, Christian, and welcome everyone if you're joining us for this meeting. It's an absolute pleasure and an honor to be here, us four men, and we're also grateful for your presence. And I would just like to start this meeting by dropping us into our heart space with a little practice, a little meditation. So I'll just invite you all to close down your eyes, and we're just going to focus on our breath to start with. And we're going to let all the air exhale from our lungs. So in and just let it all out. Then on the inhale, we're going to count 1, 2, 3, 4. And then we're going to exhale 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Inhale 1, 3, 4. Exhale 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Inhale again. 2, 3, 4. Exhale 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Let's just stay with that, with your own counting for a little bit. We're just slowing down the breath, focusing just on the breath. Bring our attention to this present moment. That's all there is. Letting go of the day. Not thinking about the future. Just be here right now. Now I want you to focus on something that you're grateful for right now in this moment. Something that you're super grateful for. Whether it's your health, your hearing, anything at all. Your family. I just want you to focus on that as you breathe in and breathe out. Something that you're grateful for. Continue with that breath. And the last one, just want you to focus on a moment in your life when you felt the utmost joy, the utmost happiness, whether it was a significant moment, a small moment. Put yourself exactly in that place. Where were you? What were you doing? Who were you with? A moment where you felt complete joy and happiness. And just take yourself back there. How does that make you feel right now? Staying with the breath. Inhale, and then longer on the exhale. And now, just in closing this little practice, I want you to know that you are also loved, are also worthy, and are all so enough in each and every way. Lots of love to yourself, to each other, and all our loved ones. May all beings be happy. We can open our eyes now. Welcome.
That was beautiful. Thank you, Damien. And welcome everyone again for this session about living from the heart and how important it is to go back to the present moment with what Damien just did for us, to ground ourselves and to be here so we can start this conversation from as close as we can from the center of our heart and our intentions for today. So we will introduce ourselves. I'll start. I'm talking. So my name is Christian. I'm a breathwork facilitator. I'm a mindfulness coach, a yoga instructor as well, and I work with men and women. And I help them move forward in their lives through the work I do as well. And yeah, I do other things as well around other businesses, but helping people move forward in their lives is one of my passions. So being here today is a big honor and pleasure. So we can share some of our own experiences with you. So welcome everyone. I'll leave it to Tony. Would you like to introduce yourself, Tony, please?
Yeah, hello everyone. My name is Tony, and yeah, I also am a breathwork facilitator and also a yoga teacher, and I also run men's programs and men's retreats, and also do a fair bit of mentoring for men and women, just helping them when they feel a bit stuck or work a lot with people holding space in ceremonial space for anxiety, depression, and a lot of clinical spaces, and then also just a lot of sacred spaces as well. Really a pleasure to be here tonight and to be with everyone who's watching this now and everyone who's watching this at a later time as well. So welcome to all. I'll pass on to Marco.
This is Marco.
Hey, you people. Yeah, my name is Marco. Yeah, what am I? What do I do? I think over the years I've done many different things, but one red thread that has always been for the last 25 years with me is just my ditch playing and my connection, learning, and journey with some of my indigenous mentors and friends and elders, and my personal practice. And I guess the last years I ventured back into doing a lot of facilitating sound healing, sound therapy work. I run men's groups, very entrance level men's work, like ditch groups. We teach didgeridoo playing, but over the years have picked up a lot of stuff, and so didgeridoo playing is for me, it's not about just playing an instrument. It's really a powerful tool of connection. And after many years of playing, I discussed with my elders and mentors, and the way I teach ditch now is really a way that brings mindful awareness practice, a pranayama, a rhythm breathing, which is kind of a pranayama practice, a breathwork practice, really, and self sound healing of ditch playing and men's groups. So that is a big chunk of what I do now, creating safe spaces for men. It's not intimidating. It's really kind of low entry level, what I say in a way, because the ditch is so I get a lot of men who come from all kinds of walks, and often their first step in this work is come to my course, and then you see them venturing out into other men's work in groups. So I feel really privileged to have a lot of those people, and the sound therapy work, sound healing work, and facilitate more and more at other people's retreats. And although I have so much to learn in this world, and I don't think I really see myself as teacher or teaching stuff, but I can share. So you share from the little experience you have in your life, and from that space of a longing, I guess, what Christians say, to support. We see a lot of stuff. We talk about that in a minute, about what's going on, and it's almost like also fighting your own shyness or false humbleness. You just want to hide and do your thing, but really to step out there and whatever little good thing you can do in the world to bring community back. And so that's basically what I do. That's the core of what whether it's a sound healing or ditch teaching or selling health food on the market. It's not a little business I run. It doesn't matter what you do. It's more about what do you do. I try to connect people and support positivity and positive views on the world. I think that's probably what I try to do. Damien, my bro.
Yeah, thank you, Marco. Beautiful. Much love, brothers, and to all out there. Yeah, my name's Damien Campbell, and I'm a human being, an earthling, like everyone else. And I just love life, and I love to share my passion and live my passion and my joy, which is, for me, a lot of things, but main thing is music. I'm a drummer, percussionist, and handpan player, and I run drumming circles at retreats and also teach kids at school. So I teach music at school, and that's part of my joy, teaching the next generation what I'm passionate about, just drumming and percussion and music. And running handpan retreats and just sharing my love and passion for handpan and music and bringing people together, seeing the joy in their heart and on their faces is my why for doing it. It's changing lives, and it changes my life as well. So we're all in this together, and when we can share our magic and our passion, and it affects other people, it's multiplied 1,000 times over. And I always say it's fun to do something on your own, but when you include a lot of people, it's just the fun is multiplied, and we can all walk each other home that way, back to our hearts, and all just have fun and enjoy this beautiful world.
Beautiful. Thank you, everyone. I guess for this session, before we start talking about or going into what it means to live from the heart, I think it's important to discuss some of the challenges that we men experience in life. We have busy lives, and we have to perform at work, and have families. So there are many challenges that we experience. So for that, my friend Marco and Tony will share a little bit about that. So I'll leave it to you, Marco. You are mute.
Sorry, I just had to plug my computer in, so I just muted myself for a moment. There's a lot, I guess. On one hand, we could say we have a lot of challenges. Sometimes it looks like we're just making all those challenges up in our own head. We're just living life and getting through it. So some days I don't see the challenge in the challenges. It just seems to flow. But overall, I can say just the pressures of modern life through technology. It's supposed to make our life easier, but I think technology is making my life much more complicated. It's supposed to make my life faster, but everything takes much longer in a way. There's so much more to do, the distractions of it, what it does to your mind, talking about, being mindful or staying a little bit in the moment. It's one of the biggest distractors, the technology. So in that, we still try to run our lives, and life is going faster and faster. So I think that brings just a big pressure, a stress, and an anxiety that is just ingrained in our modern living. And I think technology, for the delusion that it creates, that it's going to make our life easier or better, I think it really brings much more stress and anxiety. And the biggest thing is the separation. We've been highly individualized through the neoliberal capitalist project, maybe many reasons, but that's one thing, how we run economies and stuff. And now the technology kind of worsens that, and we often in this we use Facebook for connection and Instagram, and it's kind of a fake. It's not a real world connection. It's just so different. So I see that isolation is a big thing. Loss of community, loss of really doing things together. It's like when I see, like for example, in the men's groups, sometimes often we gather and we talk and we share and we listen and we come a step closer. But then still, for me, I see it in myself. It's like sometimes I'm moving house and I'm doing it on my own, not because there is no man who want to help, but still because I don't ask sometimes, even after all this work. So I think really that's the next step from when you're already in this work, that challenge to actually work as a community and collaborate more. So that's a lot of stuff. Just at that day-to-day level, of course, managing, family, children, career, money, all these pressures we know. I think also on a very big level is a challenge to, especially when men go on this journey. Why do men start doing men's work or the spiritual practice or whatever? They want to find out who they are and what their purpose and goal in life is. And that often in itself becomes another stress or another pressure or another complication on top of everything that is already so complicated. And so we can make our own life really hard with that. And then in our mind, there's a lot of stuff like our expectations, self-image, looking for acknowledgement, appreciation, all that stuff. So I think we're living in pretty intense times. There's a lot of challenges, lots of challenges. And I think what we do right here, right now, simple stuff like sitting with men around the fire and stuff, they're the first steps to kind of unknot that a bit, I guess, that complex life we created for ourselves and to come back to community. So I think I could say much more, but I want to pass it to Tony.
Yeah, thanks, Marco. The challenges that I see, that I face, that I see men facing in life today is fulfilling all the roles that we put on ourselves and all the roles that society puts on us as men. It feels as though, for me, there's being a father, there's being a partner, there's being a work colleague, there's being creative, there's all these roles that I really want to fulfill and that men really want to fulfill. And sometimes it's a lot out there. And then there's time for self-care as well, sometimes that can be a challenge for men too, to find the space to just be by themselves and to see what comes up. So I see there's a lot of challenges out there, and like Marco said, it can be also that can create a challenge in itself. But there is a lot out there, and I feel that if I don't have a practice for myself to keep me living from the heart, that it can become a little bit overwhelming at times. All these challenges of that men have. And yeah, that's what I see that's out there. And for me, the key is connecting in with other men. It's taken me a long time to know that, that I'm not alone. And I do see that a lot in as a challenge for men, thinking that no one else thinks the way they do, thinking that they're the only ones that this happens to, or they're the only ones that feel this way. And in a way, it kept me separated, it kept me isolated. And just from all the work I do in men's groups, it's a bit of a common theme as well. Yeah, so thank you.
Thank you, Tony. I guess if I can add something there, I think that we men have a big pressure to perform in every way. Like we have to become the supporter in that way. And when we don't have those support networks to allow us to, to share what's happening with us, because we're being told to be strong. We men, we have to be strong, we have to perform, we don't have feelings. So I think that community is so important, and I think we are lacking community every day more. We are becoming more separated. So it's so important, to connect and to share, and that's why we're creating these instances so we can share and share what's happening. We have this pressure that we cannot feel when it's. I mean, we all feel. We all have a heart, and then it's like a cooker pressure that sometimes explode, and that's when we men explode and we get angry, and then we get in trouble for that. So I think it's so important to acknowledge our feelings, and that's something that for us is a big challenge out there. On the same line, I would say that we forget to have fun a lot. We become too serious. We have to be serious. We have been told to be serious. I think that we forget to have fun, and it's important to have fun along the way with everything we do with the work. So those are things that for me I can see a lot, and that the pressure, and that we have to be serious, and we have to. I think life could be a bit more fun in that way. Yeah, Demian, is there anything you want to add to that?
Yeah, I think that what you say that pressure is too. That pressure is, we say that's what society puts on us often, and then, but when you look at it, you put it on yourself really. And so also do this work to let men see that even that social pressure that you perceive as pressure in society, you have actually a choice in how much of that pressure you take on yourself. That is something that we just go on this autopilot, or we have no choice. And then we think that, for me personally, I had for years and years, I tried to live up to other people's expectations, as younger and this, and then I realized I was doing that. I think I'm not going to live up to other people's expectations, but then the pressure didn't really change. And then I realized I wasn't living up to other people's expectations. I was trying to live up to what I assumed expectations were of me. And I can say 80% of the time, probably people were not even expecting that from me. So we just assume an expectation, and then we try to live on that, So we create a lot of that ourselves, because most people are, busy with their own lives, so they don't worry so much about us as we think that people worry about what we do. And if you really come in that space of being vulnerable, what this work teaches us too, as men, to be vulnerable, then actually we learn more and more. If we as men step out that, what you said, that social pressure and the social norms, and we got to be tough, then we find out that people are actually more than ready always to help us, to support us, to be kind, to forgive us. So yeah, I think that's a big part of that journey for me,
And I think that that's why it's important to do this work, because we can see it. We have this conditioning. We have this conditioning that about where we have this conditioning about that we have to be a certain way, but that's just the conditioning. It's not who we really are actually, right? So it's when we do this work, this mindfulness work, it's allow us, to see ourselves, to see the conditioning, and to see that we don't have to perform, we don't have to be a certain way. I guess from here, is we want to share as well what does it mean for us to live in the heart, and how we experience the challenges that we personally experience by staying in the heart with everything that's happening around us. So I will go back to Damien, if you want to share with us what does it mean to you to live in the heart, and what are some of the challenges you experience in that process? And we can hear you, brother.
You got on mute.
Oh yeah, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yeah, brother.
Yeah, thank you, Christian and Tony and Marco. Yeah, what it means for me to live in the heart is to live my passion, my joy, my purpose and joy, and to basically be free of the ego in my mind, or to know it's there but it's not controlling me, to know that I make every decision based on what I'm feeling in that moment, whether it's a yes or a no, and whether it truly honors me and my integrity, my authenticity, and my honesty. So living in the heart for me is all about just being real and honest and true and authentic and genuine and integral with everything that I do, whether it's a choice, what I make for what I'm eating, whether I want to go out or whether I want to stay in. And it becomes a lifestyle. And the more I practice that, the easier it gets. But it's coming from the mind back to the heart. And it's like, oh, should I go out? People are expecting this of me, like Marco said, but there's expectations that we put on ourselves, or that we assume people are wanting to, or they're talking about us, but it's most of the time it's not even real. It's just our own mind. So living from the heart for me means just doing me and what makes me happy and brings me joy. And that is a whole range of things. It's playing music and doing what I love, but it's also sharing that and being with community and people and family and building those relationships, and always, I guess, being better and moving forward as a man, as a human being, with deeper connections to myself and my own heart, and with being genuine and honest and integral around any person that I'm with, no matter what. And that was always a challenge for me growing up, especially as a kid, when we're trying to fit in, or we're trying to be cool, or we're trying to, we want acceptance, we want to be acknowledged, so we bend our boundaries and we overcompromise, and we lose ourselves. And those patterns, as we get into adolescent and adulthood, we've got to relearn them, unlearn, and then, control our ego mind again and go, well, hang on. And like Marco said, it's happening again with social media. It's like, how do people want me to show up? Or how do I just want to show up and be me on social media and let go of all expectations, what people think and everything, and just because that's where the true magic and bliss is, when you let go of all expectations and you're not concerned about numbers or other people's opinions or anything like that. You're just doing you. You're staying in your lane. You're being authentic as and integral as you can be, and humble, knowing that when it's a human experience, we're always going to stumble. There's always going to be challenges, and sometimes we don't know, and so we've just got to admit that we don't know, and not let our ego take control and try and be something we're not. So yeah, for me, living in the heart is just about knowing who I am and following my passion and my joy, knowing what that is, taking the time out for me. And I have many practices to do that as well. I think we might elaborate on that next. Things that help me stay in the heart. And I love to share those as well. Things like yoga and meditation every night, and breathwork, Wim Hof of a morning, and nature, and then just playing my handpan, connecting with humans, catching up for coffee, all that sort of stuff. Getting together in men's groups like this, it's amazing. It's such powerful stuff. Like, life-changing. So beautiful.
Thank you, man. Marco, would you like to share next?
Yeah, sure. So, we do the practices after, huh?
Yes.
Yeah, living in the heart, man. Well, when you pick this topic for this talk, I go like, oh my God, living from the heart. What does that mean, really? Like for me, people say, oh, living in the heart is when I follow my feelings, not my thoughts. I cannot say whether that is true or not, but for me, that doesn't make sense because to me, both my feelings and thoughts are two aspects of, they're both not the heart, what I consider the heart, and so living in the heart, it's like it's a process of going in and out, and deepening and deepening, and really living in the heart. I think that to me means when you really live in the heart, you be like Christ or Buddha or something. And I'm not that, so I'm not fully living in the heart, and I've not probably done that for a day. But at the same time, through teachings we have received and what we have done in life and our mentors and our teachers, I think we've been given practices and shown things. So for me, it's big part is like mindful awareness, for example, is really powerful to be a bit in that space, a bit of a space between you and your thoughts, like what Damien said about not being so caught up in your stories and your thoughts. So the less I am caught up in my stories and my thoughts, the more I am in my heart. And the less, and that can go, you can have these moments where for a moment those thoughts and stories and even feelings and fears, attachments seem to dissolve, and where you come in a quite intense way in that present moment, maybe for a short moment, So then we can, you can see that, if I would always be like that, I would have no worries, but it doesn't last long mostly. So that for me, living in the heart is something you do, but it's also a process and a practice. So you try to prolong that longer, and become more skilled at that. And then also, like we said, like ego, being not in the ego. And there's also, what does that mean? Like I see often people think that their nasty sides is the ego and their joyful, happy sides is not ego. And for me, that's still all ego. That's also ego, And I think what you see also in the psychology of like we have a hurt ego or like pain body, and we have a healthy ego. And like a hurt ego is probably when you're in that really, I'm here or there, victim, life does this to me, it's your fault, I have a feeling, so I need to blame it on you. I have a feeling because they did this or because that happened. And I think if we come more to like a healthy ego, we can see that there's so much, like Damien said, we don't know, that things are really interdependent, that when we start seeing if somebody says something to me and I get a reaction, an emotion, that is probably 5% of what that person said, and 95% is some projection of some past. So then we can kind of come to a space of, we become a bit loose of these thoughts and emotions, and I think that is a good healthy base that we still have, because I'm full of anxiety and stress and fears and self-doubts. What Damien said, don't let it rule you, those aspects. And so you become like friends with them, so I think that's a big thing of going in the heart, more and more and more becoming friends with every aspect of yourself. And people are often afraid to look at their shadows or their demons. And when I look at shadows or demons, once I go there, I always find some cute little boy more than a monster most of the time. What is there, something that needs nurture, that needs love, and accepting that these things come and go. So that for me is a big part of living in the heart. And to take full responsibility is for me also a big part of living in the heart. So like one of my main teachers once, he said, like, once it hit me like this, in a retreat, he said, when you're blaming, you're not taking responsibility, always. And I was like, sometimes when you're blaming, no, but he was right. The more I contemplated, he was right. When you're blaming, you're not taking responsibility, because they're completely opposite. And so responsibility is a big thing. And then not say, that doesn't mean saying if somebody does something really volatile or stupid that you cannot point that out, like, hey, that's not okay, but that's not blaming, you know what I mean? There's not a judgment. And yeah, and seeing everything that happened to me in my life, and I've gone through a lot of stuff like most of us, and a lot of shit at times. But now looking back, that I can see in every situation, it is not what I perceive that somebody did to me that is going to help me grow. But if I look back at the situation and say, man, I did that was silly. And there's always comes saying, I was caught up in my stories, I was projecting, I was in my fear, I didn't put my boundaries, I didn't step up for myself, and therefore I allowed that situation or that relationship or whatever to evolve in a certain way. And that's where I can learn, hey, I'm not doing this, I'm not doing that. So there's all this sort of living in the heart is also about responsibility, the mindful awareness, and also about what Demi said, to slowly becoming more and more genuine, more and more genuine, and the challenges. So my experience of that is, like that I'm becoming much less, I hold on much less to things. I still have that thing coming, but like even today I had this got a bit of a confrontation with a person and speaking, and over the years as I meet this person, he's always very bit of attacking or judging and like a bit conflictuous. And today we had this conversation. I said, I don't see that. And there was some aggressive words came, and I said like, I think you fight quite aggressive. No, you are aggressive. And I was like, okay. Anyway, so let it just happen. And I said, okay, if you see it like this, and whatever. But I realized, I kept friendly and I walked away. But I realized like, this is cool. I really don't need to replay stories in my head anymore. What I'm going to say next time, or why that was wrong, or why do I defend myself? Man, we have this karma. I don't even know why. And I don't need to say he is an annoying person or he's a judgmental person, because he has a lot of good friends and they reckon he's a really nice guy. So for some reason, we have this karma that we push each other's button. Well, that's fine. But I used to then, in the past, I was like, because of all my own neediness of wanting to be acknowledged, I would always keep connecting with that person or trying to maybe convince them that I'm not what they see. I know, I feel like, I don't care, man. You see me like that, that's fine now. Like it's a little bit, still, of course, it's still a bit like, oh, that was nasty. But
Yeah.
so now I'll be like, okay, maybe it's better if we don't hang out, or I don't feel to do this project or communicate with you. And that's okay. And so acceptance. So we have this of being a bit more in the present, embracing ourselves, genuineness, and acceptance. So all these things, I think they slowly move us to living more and more in the heart. And how that ultimately looks in the heart when we really, have overcome all those hang-ups and inhibitions and pathologies. And I don't know, but I can already say that it's going to be very, very good, because where I am now, if I look up the mountain, like shit, I can get depressed, but if I look where I come from, man, that's amazing. So, and that's also good. That's also part, of loving ourselves and seeing what we've achieved. So so for me, living in the heart is not so much as a state of that I'm always in, or what I do, or my purpose. I don't believe that I have a purpose. I mean, maybe the big purpose to awaken, but like I believe I can be on purpose. Because if I have this is my purpose, I teach ditch, or this is no, that's what I do now, but I'm on purpose. If that makes sense. I don't want to go into that because that's a whole other thing. But so purpose always change. Everything is always changing. That's also an aspect to be and to try to be, but change, and that things are always changing, and to find peace in that. And so so living in the heart is, for me, it's more a process and a journey than something that I'm always am. And sometimes I'm completely not in it. I'm completely neurotic and angry and all that stuff, and that's fine too. Yeah. But the more I practice, the easier I come out of that. Yeah, I think I want to leave it like this. Otherwise,
Awesome.
Thank you, Marco. Thank you for that. It's an interesting question. I find living from the heart, it's almost I grapple with the question because I'm trying to articulate from my thoughts, an experience, or at times often a way of being for me. Yeah, living from the heart is it's when I hop out of the way. It's when this part of me hops out of the way. I find I experience living from the heart, and it's a real joyous way of living. I don't do it all the time. It's not there all the time. It's just there for some of the time, and it's what I use, the techniques that we will share that drop me back into that space. It's very beneficial for everyone when I live from the heart. You know, it's beneficial for my children. It's beneficial for my partner, for myself. It's just, yeah, it's really a way I find myself being, and for me, it is also a feeling as well. What I love about the four of us working together is we don't necessarily all agree with each other, and so it is a feeling for me, that living from the heart. It's not something that I am feeling all the time. It's when I think about it that I realize that I am living from the heart. So it's good to reflect. Otherwise, I get a bit caught up on just being in it and not knowing that I'm in it because I've hopped out of the way, or maybe it's ego, I'm not sure, has hopped out of the way, and it's a really beautiful experience. I think I'm going to leave it there, and I'll pass over to Christian.
Thank you, Tony. Thank you for sharing that. Beautiful. Living from the heart. I just want to share something that I'll tap into something that Marco said, which is about remembering where we come from. And I think that's super important for all of us, no matter where we are, to remember where we come from. Because most of us have done a lot of work. Wherever you are, just remember and think about maybe our parents didn't have the right tools to bring us where we are, and we are doing pretty well considering where we come from. And I think it's good to acknowledge that. So thank you for that, Marco. I think it's a beautiful reflection on that. Living from the heart. I tend to believe that I live my life from the heart. And I want to believe that. And it's like finding the balance, right? It's like, it's more than living from the heart. It's about coming back to my heart as many times as possible. How do I do it in a way that, I'm aware when I'm not in my heart? And I think that's the challenge for me, the awareness that comes from knowing that I left my heart in a moment where I'm being triggered, So I'm a very happy guy. I smile a lot. Tend to be in a very loving, beautiful space most of the time until I'm triggered by something. And that's the moment when I react. And if I look at my past, I used to react a lot and get very angry with friends, in relationships, especially. I think we men, we tend to react more with the people that are closer to us sometimes, So in my younger years, when in my 20s, 30s, I would react and get angry and, scream. So I've learned through the mindfulness practices to be aware when I'm not in my heart. And I still do it a lot, as Marco said, it's an ongoing work for me to be in my heart. When I am in my heart, what does it mean being in my heart? It means that I'm choosing love. Because I learned that every time, no matter what's happening around me, I can always choose love. And by choosing love, I mean stop, go to my heart, and observe the situation without being triggered. And I think that's why we practice mindfulness, because otherwise I'm in this autopilot where I'm getting reactive all the time. If the children do something, if something happened on the streets, we react. So for me, living from the heart is staying there, or as much as we can, How do I go back to my own heart? So then I can do good for myself and others. And I think that every trigger I have in my life put me out of my heart. So for me, it's about being aware, and that's my challenge. Because the more work I do on myself, the more I see my triggers, my fears, and my ego playing all the time. It's like I had this massive ego growing up. Now it's like this, a little bit taller. And every day it's like, okay, how do I work on that? So then I can stay in my heart and be a better person for the people around me. So I can live with purpose, so I can, do good for others and myself as well. So yeah, that's how I see it, I think, for me. So I guess for you, if you are watching this, live now in the replay, the question for you is, what does it mean for you to be in the heart, and how can you be in the heart a bit more, or what are some of the things you can do as well? But also, later, if you are in the Zoom meeting with us, we will open the space for you to share. If you want to share your experience about what it is to live in the heart, and what are some of the challenges you experience in your life. So after, in the next section, we will let you, share as well. But also, if you are watching, if you have any question for us, please put them in the comments on Facebook, or put them in the chat as well, so we can answer your questions live as you are asking for them. But yeah, very important for us, I think. Living in the heart is an ongoing job that we have to be aware of, and that's why we do this work. That's why we gather together, to remind ourselves to be in the heart. And it's fascinating how it works for us. The four of us, we come from completely different worlds. We're so different, and our egos get triggered all the time. I can see it. I know when I am there, I'm being triggered. Because we are leaders, the four of us, and we clash in the way we think and the way we want to do things.
And we'll be keeping it nice, because we
Yes.
still only start working together. So in 3 months we're going to trigger even more, because we're not so nice anymore. We become more real with each other.
Absolutely. But it's part of the thing, because every time, and every time we get together and we get to see our faces and we connect in our purpose, and we decide we're working on these projects and this retreat that we are running, we go into the heart and we finish in bliss. And it's like, man, I had a shit day today, but the four of us, we gather together, we talk, and we go back to the heart, because we find that commonality and we go back to that, which is the important thing. That's why community is so important, I guess.
And that's the thing, if I may add something to that, and that's for the men's work. For me, we do a lot at a men's retreat, and there's a lot of modalities that people use and frameworks, and they all kind of shows, and they look at from different things and processes. But of all the men's work, I think I did a post on it a while ago. For me, the sharing circle around the fire, a good sharing circle, is still one of the most powerful and potent processes, where men just sit around the fire. We sit around the fire and we just honest with each other. And it keeps surprising me, like if what you say, if we just share and listen to each other, and whether it triggers or bothers or not, to just and I was at a difficult meeting last week at the school, actually, and there was, the people were clashing, and I kind of went to the meeting and trying to have a real conversation, and there was another person spoke. There was always defensiveness and resisting, and we were dealing with some difficult stuff that is happening at our school at the moment. But at some moment, a person stopped and spoke from this is how I experience this. This is what I see. This is how I stand in it. This is what I believe. And not only did that open up that whole conversation, the funny thing was that the next time that person spoke who was triggering her, she did not respond and get defensive. So by acknowledging herself and owning herself, she could also accept and acknowledge that other person and own that. And I find that really often when I go, to my courses, and I'm really tired, I had big days, and I don't want to go, or I'm really going to some intense stuff, and we sit, and something simple as playing some ditch and just connecting in an honest, open space, like what you said. And by the time I go home, it's always 100%. You know, you feel great. You feel grounded. You feel settled. You feel centered. You know, so it's just amazing. It's felt to share that.
Thank you, Marco. I think just based on what you share, and especially for us men, the challenge to be vulnerable, you know. So by the moment we accept our vulnerability and we share it, we create the space to be understood. If we are protecting ourselves all the time, we put this barrier and then we react.
Yeah.
Every time we get angry, we are in pain and we are crying for love, for compassion, for support. But if we don't know how to express it, that will come like rage or anger. So vulnerability is a big thing. So in the example you just shared, Marco, that person made herself vulnerable and share, this is how I feel. And the moment we do that, we open up a door for people to see us. And it's about being seen as well. So living from the heart is also being okay with being seen, with being vulnerable, with sharing that we might not be in a good place. To be authentic in the way we share who we are and how we feel about situation. We don't have to. So as we discussed before, we were talking about, we have this conditioning that we believe that we have to live under this expectation from the world, from our families, from our wives, from our friends. So we have to be tough. We have to be this. We don't have to be anyway. We don't have to be any of those things. But if we believe it, it's going to be true for us. And that's why it's important, to do this work, this mindfulness work, because when we go there and we observe us doing these things, it allows us to reflect. And when we learn that vulnerability, right, is one of the first steps for us to reconnect with our heart and be okay, because it's okay to feel. We're being told not to feel. Then we can start living from the heart. When we allow ourselves to feel, we men don't allow feelings because we were told not to cry. And as I always say in my events, it is okay to cry. It is okay to feel. Allow those feelings to come through, because that's when we heal. That's when we let go of what happened to us. And then we can allow the new to come in. And then we connect with our hearts, and then we can, be in that moment without getting triggered because of things that happen to us that has to do with something else. Usually every time we get triggered, we get angry. It has nothing to do with what's going on right there. It has to do with something else that happened in the past that the situation just is reminding us about what happened, and then we get angry or upset. So yeah, very important, I think. Guys, is anyone else would like to share a bit more about what it is to live in the heart?
I think maybe we can move on to the next thing.
So I guess next,
time-wise too.
What are some of the practices we can incorporate into our lives to live in the heart? We have discussed today about the challenges we experience, men, and what it is for all of us, the four of us, to live from the heart and our own challenges. So I guess it's important now that we discuss, okay, so what can we do? And the next part is about giving you some tools that you can use in your everyday life to be in your heart. So the four of us will share a little bit about that. And who would like to go first?
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah. Can you hear me? Am I unmuted?
We can hear you very clear, brother.
Yeah. I think the most important thing is, and Marco touched on this, is accountability and ownership. Complete being accountable for all our actions and everything that happened to us, and not blaming. Being totally responsible for all our actions, and awareness is a big thing. And how do we get to those places, to be able to take full accountability and not to blame, not to pass judgment, not to blame, so that we're not playing the victim and we're not sitting in a pity pool or anything like that. Is just you know, how do we get to that place where we can just take full accountability, full responsibility that everything that happened in my life is mine, and I'm not going to blame anyone, and I can move forward and then come back to love from that space. So, like you said, when a situation happens that we get triggered, you know, and we want to react, that's from a past conditioning. So I always believe the magic is in that space between situation, emotion, and reaction. And when we can sit in that space before reaction and we can respond instead of react, and go, okay, I can take accountability and full responsibility for this, or just observe without judgment, be objective, be equanimous, and not blame, and just come back to love, back to the heart. And how do we get to that space? Because growing up, you know, we'll be picked on at school or bullied, and so we'll suppress a lot of our feelings, or we'll just let them build up and react with rage and anger later on in life. And so practices to come back to the heart, because this has been my experience, and, you know, a lot of anger and rage, and especially with those closest to me, like you said, Christian. And lately, we're doing all these practices and men's groups and being with community and mindfulness practices and awareness and breath work and yoga and all that. It's helped me see a lot of things in the past it was just all me. It's like, oh yeah, I was being a goof, or I take full ownership and full responsibility for all of that, you know, like, and it's just all learning. And then I hope that the next time I've learned something, I can sit in that space between situation and reaction, and not react, you know, and be aware and just sit in there with love and be objective. So for me, the practices that I do to get to that space, and it's an ongoing journey, is meditation, for one, of a nighttime. I have a guru Muji meditation on YouTube, and it's like a 10-minute meditation just about, you know, I have a guru Muji meditation on YouTube, and he says that we are both a part of life, and we are witness to life and life itself. So we are witness to everything that's going, but we are part of it all as well. And it's just separating our mind from everything that's going on, and just being aware of it and looking at it objectively and without emotion, without reaction. Whatever, we've had a shitty day or whatever, and be like, fuck, I'm blaming this, the traffic was shit, it's their fault, whatever. It's okay, it just is what it is. That's our biggest teacher. Can we sit in that and just observe and come back to the breath? So meditation, yoga, practicing yoga is a good one as well, just to come back to our heart. Jumping in the ocean, nature. I spend time in nature. It is a big one for me as well. And then being around community, and also alone time as well, being by myself and just with my thoughts, and writing. I have a vision board that I write things down, and, you know, when things come to me, it's like, through a meditation or whatever, and I write it down so that I always remember it. You know, things like your mind is your servant, not your master. So don't let it control you. It's there for to guide you, help guide you with your heart in life, but don't let it control you. Just things like that. And eating good food, being mindful of the things that go into my body. It's a whole collection of things, all the things that bring me back to my heart. You know, I feel good when I'm eating something, and also I'm human, so I want to just be like, I'm just going to snack on this, and then I'll feel like, why did I do that? Now I feel like shit, I shouldn't have, but I was craving it at the time. Why was I craving it? Maybe because I was emotional. I'm just emotional eating or something, but I own that. It's no one else's fault. It's all on me, and I accept that. So from that space, it's like, well, this will pass, and I'll learn from it, hopefully, and, you know. So yeah, just the way I talk to people as well, and being genuine and integral with all my relationships and stuff as well. It's like, you know, just being as real and as transparent as possible. No mud on the glass. It's like, you know, this is me, and what you see is what you get, and everything's a work in progress. So we're all out there just doing our best. Spiritual beings having a human experience. So yeah.
That's beautiful, brother. Yeah, I can resonate with a lot of the things you just shared there. Tony, would you like to go next?
Yeah, I would. It's interesting we're doing this chat here, and there's so many things that every one of you men share that I resonate with, and as I'm trying to find different things to share, different, so it's not just all the same. But Damo, you've just stole everything from me. Yeah. Oh, I think for me, the tools that I use to stay in the heart, the biggest one is doing work on myself. The biggest one is doing the work, whether it's men's work or whether it's other modalities or whatever it is, or whether it's seeing a therapist or something like that. That's all this that I do. It does allow me to drop deeper into my heart, and it's a tool. It's an ongoing tool. It's not just a one-off thing for me. It's something that I'm always doing. And then there's the other tools, like definitely the alone time, or what I call integration time, where I'm not doing things. Like I love surfing and definitely being in nature and walking in nature, and they're definitely tools that drop me into the heart. But then there's also that just being by myself and just observing myself, observing what's happening in my body, observing what's happening in my mind, and letting all the parts say what they need to say within me. And then when they've said what they need to say, then I can really be with my whole self. And that drops me into my heart, because it's a wholesome way of being for me, living from the heart. It includes all of me, and that makes me more authentic. And then when I do am with people or in groups, coming from that space is powerful, and it invites other men and other people to drop into their heart as well. And then when all this happens, I'm receiving so much, so it's dropping me even further into my heart. So these are all tools that I understand. And when I am an aware person, there is my life's this massive tool of dropping me into my heart. And as I said before, I'm not saying I'm there all the time, but definitely I surround myself with the tools, the people, and the resources to allow it to maximum chance I can to be in that place. So whether it's regulating my nervous system, whether it's doing really slow techniques, or whether it's dancing, or whether it's anything like that, there's just, when I think about it now, I have so many tools. It's really beautiful.
Thank you, Tony. As I'm listening, it's like same. It's like, wow, some of the same things I would say. Something more practical, I would say, when you feel that you're not in your heart, just stop and pause. Very important. I mean, when the moment you're about to say something, just pause for a moment. And the way to do that is to remember that you are breathing. Very, very good technique. Even right now, if you're watching right now, pause and bring your awareness to your breath and feel the air going in and out. That moment, you brought your attention to your breath, to your body. So it takes you from the mind. So because when you are in your heart, where are you then? It's just important to, create that distinction. If you're not in your heart, you're in your mind, here. So the moment we stop, we focus on the breath, we go back to the body, which is the feelings. And then just stay there, pause. And for example, if you going to a meeting, or if you're going to work, you need to talk to your boss, if you need to make an important call, or after a big day at work, you arrive home, you park your car, and before going inside to say hello to your wife, to your partner, to your children, stop outside and spend 2 minutes and just sit there. Just sit there and just bring your awareness to your breath and stay there. And maybe just make an intention of how you want that first interaction with your family be. Very important. You can do the same with your mates. If you are young and you're going to go, before going there, just stop there and say, stop, be aware. And that will bring you back to your heart. So that's I do that all the time. Like when I receive an email or when Marco sends a message and I get triggered, I say, wait, don't reply yet. Wait. Give it a moment. And then I reply. It's like remembering that, we all doing our best and everyone might be coming with good intention. It's just my own stuff coming out. That was a joke, by the way. It's not true. I'm never triggered by Marco.
Oh, that makes me sad.
Huh?
That makes me sad if I can.
No, man, I never. No, that's not true.
I hope I can
bringing
sometimes.
A bit of humor,
All the
and again,
time.
have fun, guys. It's very important to have fun.
Yeah, let's take it. Oh yeah, sorry.
It's very important to have fun, and when you're in those moments, yes, it's okay. It's okay. Be okay with making mistakes. We are so hard on ourselves. Yeah, that's my share. We have a few.
Okay. So I want to share one on that too.
Yeah, Marco.
For the practices, so that's good because it's you guys covered a lot thing, and I hear so what Damien said about in that space between the action and the feeling and the thought, and what you gave Christian is a really powerful way of how to do that, and then I heard Tony say like he has a whole series of practices and things that he does, and I think there's you can basically I think it doesn't so much which practice you do, but it's more like the intention that you do it with that determines whether a practice is something that you can go in therapy really to drop talk with therapists to help you drop in the heart, but you can also use it to intellectualize everything. So it's kind of how you work with it. But I agree with you say, like one thing crucial of being in the heart is like being in the body. So that is definitely one thing, and the breath, what you say, and for me, it's how we breathe. And I think at the retreat, we're going to spend some time on that. I find that, like if you look also in ancient breathings, like with didgeridoo, traditional players, basic yogic breathings, in martial arts, Qigong, I always share a lot. It's like, it's so important to breathe really low down in your belly, because that activates your parasympathetic nervous system, right? And that is what we need to be in the heart. And for example, if you do the faster breath works, they're good to get in vision and stuff, but it's kind of, you can eventually in the heart, but it also creates a lot of story again, yeah. So to balance, what breathings to do for what situation, I think that is important. For me, also, Tony said, to have a daily practice, something you do all the time, and for me that is also like, I think mindfulness is the most thing that I just try to do as much as I can. Like even if it's 10 times 1 minute or 1 times 20 minutes or 20 times 2 minutes, whatever happens, but through the day, coming back to your breath and to remain in that space, a bit that spaciousness, and let those thoughts and feelings, and so then you're already more in the heart. But that is when things go well. But I think also when things go really hard, so when situations come up, when life gets a storm and a turbulence, how to remain in the heart then. And I found like this, by doing whatever practice you do, your mindfulness, by doing that all the time, it makes it easier. But I think there's also like certain ways how you look at life and contemplations you do. To look at humans, that what you said, Christian, we're all the same. We all do what we do because we want to be happy, feel safe and secure. And so if you have a conflict with anybody, not focus on the story, but focus on that fact. And hey, wait a minute, this human is, so you can go back to that mindfulness, because sometimes it's really hard in that storm. That is one thing. And also for me, it's very powerful when something happens to separate. It's again what Damien said, to deliberately separate the story from the feeling. So somebody triggers me, I really feel upset or annoyed or jealous, whatever. to really go in my body, in that feeling, and really be purely with that feeling and allow that feeling to be. And it's like an energy, and it moves, and feelings, they don't remain very long if you don't attach the story to them. Because if you have the feeling and then you have the story, and it means like you got to fix something and do something. But if there's just a feeling, you don't need to do something. So then you sit with that feeling, and then the feeling dissolves, and then you go, you know what you say, taking a breath, what you said before, Marcus sends a message, and but to deliberately do that and then address that story. So those are practices. And for me, yeah, so there is kind of a philosophical thing that I use a lot, contemplating how I see life, like whether it is karma or choice or so some framework that we, a lens that we look and contemplate. At some point we start seeing life, so life becomes from an unjust situation to a just situation, or yeah, justice in the sense, you know, just consequence, cause and effect, whatever. And then what Damien said, that the two point about taking accountability is very powerful, but also I think before we can go to accountability, we also need kindness, self-kindness, self-loving kindness. So that is a practice that helped me a lot. And I remember there's a few decades ago now, I was the first time I was doing like loving kindness or compassion contemplations. And you know, you do that more in the traditional form. You do that for somebody you like, and then for a neutral person, and then for somebody who gives you trouble, and then for an enemy. And then, but then you do that for yourself. And I really cried, you know, because I realized that I couldn't have that kindness. So even for my enemies, I could evoke those feelings in my heart, but I could not evoke them for myself, that kindness. And so that made me realize, like the first two, you had to really be kind, have that kindness for ourselves, and seeing that we're all just doing our best all the time, and remind ourselves of that, so we can go to that accountability. And in the ultimate form, like the most powerful moment I can say ever in my life, maybe I was in my heart, was when my son was just born. And my partner, she was my ex-partner, his mother, she had I don't want to go too much in, but she had some bleeding and stuff. And so she was basically for maybe 9 days, she was just sleeping and feeding and stuff. And I was just like, it was so crazy, you know, trying to do the nappies, look after my stepdaughter, you know, it was really hectic. And one night at like 2:30 in the morning or 1:30 a.m., I'm cleaning the kitchen and doing the dishes. And suddenly I just became aware that I was so at peace, and I felt so fulfilled, and I felt so blissful. It was just completely wow. This is just the best. And I think, wow, what happened? And I realized that day, not once did I think I want, I need, or because the whole day was from the moment I woke up, it didn't stop. And then I was like, wow, this is really powerful, just by really, you know, really, because we say often, people say I'm living a life of service. I hear that a lot. I don't. I'm pretty selfish. You know, it's mostly about, I'm the center of my universe, and I try to make my money with doing good things, and we try to help people. But let's face it, you know, it's really about, I'm looking after myself, and that's a lot there. So, but that was a day where I was really, I think I was totally in service, also with my mind. And I realized all the times often you go to retreats and you go to meditation, 10 days Vipassana, it's all about me, isn't it? You're sitting on that cushion, so it's still all about me. So eventually the most powerful thing, I think, what eventually will bring us in the heart, if it's not about us anymore, if it's not about me, not about us, and everything we do now is to practice to come closer to that, and not about us, that like we don't count, but to just find our purpose is really helping and serving, and you know, getting those voices of doubt and stuff away. So I think that for me, that was the most powerful experience, and I don't think I've ever been like that powerful in the heart, you know. So that is something that I also aim. I hope one day, or one lifetime, I hope that I can be like that.
That's beautiful, Marco. Yeah, the highest value is contribution, right? To give back. And when you are there giving, you know, it's like I mean, the experience of love that you just share. I mean, I felt touched just by listening, and I have heard the story before. Yeah, and you can feel it. So thank you for sharing that as well. Well, we have only a few minutes left, so we want to share with all of you here listening about our upcoming retreat, so we can share a bit more about that. But before that, we have a couple of men in the group who would like to share their experience. So they will share what living in the heart means to them, and some of the challenges they might be experiencing. So I will bring on camera. I'll start with one second. This is, yes, technology. Give me 1 second here. I'll start with Tyler. Tyler, right? You're right? Yes. So I'll bring you in, brother. If you can unmute yourself, please, and put the video on. Thank you for joining us, Tyler.
Thank you, David.
If you would like to share with us, please, that'd be beautiful.
Thank you. How's the audio?
Sounds perfect.
Perfect. Thank you very much. Yeah. An interesting question, one that I haven't asked myself for a while. What does it mean to live in my heart? And yeah, at an interesting point in my life, I guess that's why I'm here. So I remember a time where my heart didn't trust me, and I found that out and was like, oh, it's actually been saying to me a lot, I should do this, or listen to me, and I would always think my way out of it. And then that began this journey of being able to at least listen to where my heart needs to speak. And so for me, living in my heart now is being able to hear that call and know that it's like, oh, okay, I need to say something now, or I need to express this feeling in me. And now I'm at this point where I feel really at one with that, and I have a great connection with that feeling. And so now I'm like wanting to push further into being present in my life. That is really for me when I am present and I'm here in a moment, that I feel it. And it's so different to thinking about things or wanting to be able to plan the next part of the conversation. And so I've just become a father, and I have a 3-month-old son, and so I notice when I'm really present with him, and then when I'm not, and I might spend some time with him, but I'm thinking about my day, or I'm planning my weekend or something. And then when I'm really present and I feel it, and just how much happier I am and how much more engaged I am. And so that difference, that's the challenge for me. The being able to feel the difference of being present with him and not being present. And then, yeah, I've actually got a lot of, I guess I'm beating myself up at the moment about not being present, because the question was asked in the sign up thing, like, is there anything that I'm doing that's not making me happy? And I thought, oh no, I am so happy. And then I realized, oh no, actually, like I'm feeling these really beautiful moments with my son, and then I'm doing things that are also taking away from that. So I've got a bit of a negative cycle happening in my head around it as well. So yeah, I guess that's some of the challenges I'm facing and some of my experience of living in my heart.
That's beautiful. Thank you, Tyler, for sharing. I think that
Thank you, brother.
you're probably sharing the experience that many of us men are experiencing right now, and how to be aware of it. And it's beautiful what you said, because you said my challenge is to be present, and I want to be present. So and when you're present, you feel the love, you're there. When your mind is somewhere else, we are not there. We are thinking about is what happened in the past or what's going to come up, and then we lose that moment. So every moment that we have in life, if we're not present, it's gone. So yeah, thank you for that. I will bring Daniel. So you should kind of start your camera.
There we go. Thanks, Christian.
You're welcome, man.
Yeah. Oh, first of all, thank you very much for everything you guys have said. I've certainly taken a lot out of tonight. I'm sure anyone else watching will have done the same. I think something that I really took out of this was that it really, what this means will depend on where we're all coming from. We're all sort of coming from different spaces, and I've certainly found that talking to different people, you find whatever modality they're coming from, whether it be yoga or meditation or hypnotherapy or even religion, like we're all sort of trying to answer the same question, and that's really beautiful. I think what I was listening to tonight was there were sort of two different things about living in the heart. One seemed to be like that sort of heart-centered mindfulness, which I feel like is a truthfulness, which I feel like I'm kind of living within. The area that I feel like I'm growing the most in is that sort of instinctiveness that I think Tyler was really referring to, that being in the moment and trusting your gut and trusting yourself to be authentic. And I feel like for me, that's a huge part of where I'm at, is dropping as much conditioning as I possibly can to be more authentic and to be more the original me, I suppose, is what that is. And I think one of the, I wrote down heaps of notes from your tools and the different things that you use. And probably the only thing that I didn't hear that I use a lot is metaphors. And like an example for myself, like I've got 4 kids. I've got 2 teenage boys. One's about to turn 14, one's 15. And they're both at that real sort of looking for iron on iron moments of growth. Where's the resistance? Where am I growing? And the metaphor that really helped me with that was being the rock in the ocean, like to be that steadfast father that they can keep crashing on time and time again to find where the resistance is and to know that their life is secure, to then be able to settle on that, to grow. And that's worked really well for me. It enabled me to not react, to respond. So back to sort of what Damien was saying, and to be able to really be present in that moment rather than being triggered and responding from my childhood, as it were. So yeah, I think that's probably the only thing I could think of.
Thank you, Daniel. That's beautiful share as well. And on the metaphors, and
Beautiful.
like everything in life has no meaning, right? We create the meaning. So when we are able to experience that, we can create, when we can embody that, we can create the meaning we want for every situation. So that's a very powerful mindset tool as well. If you know you're in charge to creating meanings of everything that happens, you can create metaphors that allows you to empower yourself in those situations. That's a beautiful way of creating your own reality, in that way. So thank you very much. I'm gonna let you guys go. I'm gonna mute your cameras, and then we will go into sharing a bit more about the retreat. We have only a few minutes left. So we basically, on the 26th of November, the 4 of us, did I just, give me 1 second, technology, where is Marco? I lost Marco and I lost Damien. There we are. Where's Damien?
Yeah. Oh.
Yeah. Okay. So basically, on the 26th of November, we are running a men's retreat, the 4 of us. And I guess the idea came from, observing and seeing that there are many men struggling right now, but not just struggling, or could be just take their journey to the next level. The 4 of us have different experiences. We are all different, so you can see. And the 4 of us are bringing the best of what we can offer to create a full day journey. We start around 7:30 in the morning, 8 in the morning until late. So it's a full day of activities where we have crafted a beautiful journey to lead men into the heart, So the whole day is about reconnect, reflect, and recharge. So we can reconnect with ourselves, we can reflect on our lives, and then we can recharge, our body, our soul, our spirit with love, with energy. So then we can take that with us and take it home to share with our families, with our friends, at work. So that's, a quick overview of it. Of course, we will have breathwork journeys. Um, uh, we will have sound healing, drumming, fire circles, cacao ceremonies. We have a wide variety of modalities that we will share during the day. So the 4 of us will be doing that. We'll have some beautiful food as well on the day. We are running this event in a syntropic farm. So it's a beautiful place. The food that you will consume is being, cultivated in the same farm. So everything is organic. And it's going to be a beautiful day, full of, it's going to be intense because we're a bit intense.
And at the Glasshouse Mountains, really
Yes,
powerful place.
in Glasshouse Mountains, very beautiful place with a lot of powerful energy. So we're going to go deep, but we also want to have fun. I think it's important for us to have fun. But the whole idea is that, by the end of the day, you live reconnecting with your heart. We can let go of things that are not serving us anymore, and we can invite the new. So you can go back, home and live a life that's more empowered from your own heart. I think that's in general terms what we're doing. I think we still have a few spots left. So, we made it super affordable for everyone. So we want to, we're here to serve, and we really want people to come. So then, so imagine what happened today if you are embodying it in a full day activity. So we really want to share our own experience because we have been there. It's like, we've been everywhere. So it's like we did suffer and we went through a lot of stuff to be the men we are today. And again, we are not perfect. We will still have our own stuff. We're still working on it. So it's about that. It's about realizing that wherever you are in the right place, but life could always be better. And that's why we're running this retreat.
To add that too, that this is really open for kind of all men, like whether you're really new to this work or you've been in men's work for a while, like what we saw today, we heard Daniel and Tyler share, and there was a lot in there. So I think men who've been like, when you're new to men's work, or when you feel that you interested or curious or want to set those steps, you will walk into a container where it's not just us facilitating. There's going to be men who've been doing this for a few years or for 5 or 10 years. So there is a lot of holding space and learning from everybody. And also from men who've been doing men's work for a long time. What I personally have observed is that, and I think that's normal, that's natural, that it is almost becoming a bit of an industry, and and things become like automated. We do certain processes, and we almost use like templates of men's retreats a bit, and then we often surround us with people, we said that in another video, who think the same and do the same. So, and then what you get, there are certain dogmas I see coming in the men's work that are just assumed and repeated, and that is one thing too. If you've been doing men's work for a long time, we're going to question some of those things that are just kind of assumed, and with the idea to deepen and broaden our understanding. And that's the reason why we're coming from such different backgrounds, because I personally feel that the men's work needs it can have a bit of a shake up here and there too, so we really would like you, if you've been doing this for a year, to come and support us and take something away yourself and support new men and really step up to that community thing there. So
Yes.
I just really want to put
Also,
that out there.
If you're watching this and you feel that this is not for you, that's okay. But you might know someone who might need this. Yeah. An invitation is for you to bring your friends, to invite people. If
you feel this is not for you, maybe you should come, because we always say, like, take what resonates. No, but I'm serious. Sometimes you should take what doesn't resonate, because that is also that ego thing we're there. When it doesn't resonate, maybe it's really good to do it.
Well, if you're a female right now watching this through Facebook and you realize that this is not for you, invite your partners, invite your friends, invite everyone. We receive a lot of messages from people inviting their sons or their husbands, and they want us to know, they ask us how can they invite them. So look, the space is open, so we have spots. We can share the link on the Zoom, on the Facebook Live as well later. But look, if you have any questions, please please know that the space is open for for everyone. And if you have any question, please just contact us. We're here to serve, to support you. The four of us have other offerings around that you might have seen on social media as well, but today is about that. It's about the men's retreat. So guys, do you want to share anything else? Tony, Damien?
Just for me, it's for the men who are coming. Just bring all of yourself. Bring. We want all of you to be there. The whole package, because that's where the work is just being with the good days, the bad days, and that's how, for me, that's how I heal, with all the parts. Yeah. So bring all of you.
Beautiful. And is there anyone there have any questions? Well, we have, any questions from Facebook or from the Zoom meeting? Because I think we are wrapping up. I would like to thank everyone who did join us today for this meeting, for trusting the space, for giving us your time, because time is the only thing we have. So be mindful of how you use your time. So thank you for giving us your time to join us today, to allow us to share some of the things that we have experienced in our lives. And thank you very much, everyone who joined us. Share this video. This video is going to be available on Facebook. So share the video with someone who might need it. And thank you very much. It was a beautiful pleasure. And in my heart right now, I feel the love. I feel a bit emotional as well. I always do that. Thank you, Damien. Thank you, Marco. Thank you, Tony. Love you guys. You are an inspiration to me. And it's a deep honor for me to be working alongside you, next to you guys. You are amazing.
I want to thank you too, Christian, really for instigating this. Because you were talking with us and you kind of instigated it, and also I was a bit reluctant, but now I'm really happy that I joined. And it's pulling me out of a lot of comfort zones, like doing big lives on Facebook, and not that I'm kind of scared to do it, but it's just like, have certain obstacles there, or thoughts or beliefs, that I realized in this process of us working together. I already smashed through so much stuff that I can see that I thought were good values and ethics and morals to have, but they were not making my life easier. So already from working with you four guys, I really am doing things that I avoided. Wow, really, so much is already coming out of that. So I want to honor you for starting this up, to work in this way. Thank you.
Tony, Damien, some last words before we wrap up? You guys good?
All good. Just much love, everyone, and we'll see you at retreat. Look forward to it.
Yeah, thank you for everyone who has been on here. Thank you for everyone who came live. Thank you for those that are watching it on the replay. It's here for you to gain what you can out of it. Yeah.